Hi, we're about to get started. If anyone is hungry or thirsty, please grab a drink and some food before we start, because it's a very long presentation. It's going to go for about 3 hours. Seriously though, everyone, thank you for coming tonight. This is the first Dot Network event that we're having for 2019, and there's going to be lots more to come. The plan is that every month we have different events. Some will be presentation style like this, where you'll hear from UX experts on certain topics. Others will be design sprints or design challenges, which we're planning to run, where we actually bring business into the process. They host an event and then we come together and we actually solve the problem and do that as a design challenge. So, right, before we get started, I have some housekeeping, which is fun. So, I'd just like to give a big shout out to the team first of all, the Dot team. So, if everyone can, they're a bit shy, but give a bit of a round of applause. We've got Sarah at the back. We have Pooja in the green, Pooja's in fires, and we have Aditi. I'm Brooke, and this is Sudipt, who you'll be hearing from tonight. He'll give his own introduction, so don't worry about that. A couple of other things. If you need to use the restroom, it's at the back of the office, so please feel free.
The one that says we're handicapped.
Yeah. Yes, so it's all
we're inclusive.
Tea, coffee, drinks, please help yourself. Just feel free. At the end of the event, you can take some home too. I think that we've probably overcatered. We are filming the session, so there's a camera at the back of the room. We've also got one at the front here and a microphone. So it's going on YouTube. We'll share the link with everyone. So if you want to watch the presentation or forward it, feel free to do that. The lovely Sarah is going to take pictures for our social media accounts. So if you don't want your photograph taken, please leave now. Just let us know and we make sure that you're not included in any of our social posts. If you do want to post on your own channels, please feel free. Just use the hashtag digital things, and then you can tag us and mention us on those posts, which would be awesome. So the other thing I was going to say is please silence your phones if you haven't already. Everyone's reaching for their pockets. And then finally, I'd like to introduce you to Sudipt, who is the CEO of Digital of Things and our resident UX guru, and I'll let him give his own introduction. So on that note, over to Sudipt.
Alrighty guys, thank you. Thanks Misty. So welcome everybody, and thanks for the time to come. I know it's in the evening after work and you guys probably want to go home, but I promise you, hopefully you get some insight out of this presentation, and it'll be quite fun. So we'll go through it, and it is a talk, but I want a bit of engagement, so any debates, any challenges, feel free to just say what you feel. The best thing about UX is actually it is a little bit subjective, and people have opinions, so let's just talk it out and discuss it with everyone. Good thing is in this room we've got a mix of clients as well as agencies, and they're all in the digital field. So it's great. So just feel free, people have different opinions, different experiences. So let's just have a debate as we go through. Yeah?
Like Trump.
Huh?
Like Trump.
Like Trump. Thanks, Amy. You don't want to see?
No.
Alright, so what are we talking about today? So, okay, as everyone knows, UAE is a diverse country, right? Everyone knows that. There's so many nationalities here. There's 200 nationalities. And it's really important across the world to devise a strategy that is a UX strategy that is inclusive for everybody. It's even more so in this region. So the reason we did this talk is to say, look, how do you cater for 200 different nationalities here? And what's the best way to approach it in terms of UX and UX strategy? So that's what we're talking about. We're talking about culture, kind of nationality, race, and also things that we've seen in our company. So we do a lot of tests here in this lab, and we test with lots and lots of different nationalities, obviously males and females, different age groups, and it's some interesting insights that we get. So we'd like to share that with some of you guys as well. Yeah? Cool. Before we start, I want to apologize in advance. Right? This topic is about nationality, it's about race, it's about gender, it's about age. Right? So I don't mean to be offensive. I just want to state the facts, and I will be stereotyping quite a lot of things, right? But that's the name of the game here. That's why we've given you boards, by the way. So if I say anything offensive, mildly, just chuck it at me. Just feel free to chuck it, and don't worry, at least I'll stop what I was saying. Okay? But don't feel shy, just keep the balls coming. Right. Before I start, quick introduction to myself. So I think everyone kind of knows me here, but just to give you the background, I was actually born in India. I went to the UK when I was very young. Spent my whole life in UK. Graduated, normal kind of career path. Worked for IBM over there, Bloomberg. My last job was with Lloyds Banking Group, so one of the biggest banks in the region in UK. I think they had 25% market share. So you can imagine the volume of visitors on their website. It's absolutely huge. They have 11 million active customers. So you get one thing wrong, it's a big problem. So I was in digital there in UX. Then I moved down to Dubai and I worked for Emirates. And again, I worked with some of you guys as well, from agency side, but also some Emirates folks in here as well. So I was looking after the group portfolio. So Emirates owns about 50 brands, so I was looking after some of those accounts, but also the airline booking flow as well. So I was the kind of UX product manager for the booking flow for Emirates. And then I decided to set up this company here, Digital Things, and we're a pure play UX consultancy. So what we do is usability testing. We love UX, the whole team loves just anything to do with users and humans. And we like studying humans when they interact with digital. Right? And that's essentially what we do. But I'm not here to plug the business, although it might come in every now and then. Yeah, essentially the main focus is usability testing, because there's no one else that kind of does it the way we do it in this region. I don't think there's anybody else. There's some people that say they do, and I know some people work in companies that have... You see who those are. Right. Moving on. And we also do consultancy. So we do consultancy, which is user research. We do things like prototypes, wireframes, all those kind of things. And also training. So this is something that we're developing at the moment, and we want to basically help the UX community in this region. UX is behind here compared to UK or US, anywhere like that, but it's growing at a significant speed. And what we're trying to do is do what we can to improve UX in this region, in terms of education, in terms of skills, all those kind of things, for clients as well as public here. Yeah. Why do we do this? We think it's really critical to bring the customers in. A lot of people, and you might see it in your own organizations or with your clients, with agency clients, people make decisions that are subjective, right? They say this looks good, or I don't like this, this is how it should be. No one actually brings the customer in. There's very few agencies that actually bring customers in. And I think it's so critical in this region. And that's why we started this up, to say we bring in the customer at the heart of everything we do. And actually it helps a lot when we speak to clients. They can't really argue with the user. They can argue with us, they can argue with designers, UXers, but they can't really argue with the user. So that really helps. And that's one of our key points. Everyone here, I think, is in digital and UX, I think. Anybody not? Or anyone just wandered in? Like the wrong room? Okay. That's my wife, she's, yeah, I know you're not in UX. So everyone knows the importance of UX, so I won't go into this, but essentially everyone's saying that customer experience is going to overtake price and brand as a differentiator. So it's really important to get customer experience right. I won't go too much about this. So why are we here today? If UX is important, if UAE is diverse, what's the problem? And why should we focus on cross-cultural UX? So I want to discuss kind of globalization, what is happening in the world. Everyone knows that the world is getting smaller, right? But there's different cultures out there, there's different nationalities, and people are used to different things. So let's just do a quick test to see if everyone understands, right? So I'm going to give you a couple of questions. You just tell me which country you think this applies to. So at a general level, where is it really bad to give an even number of flowers or roses to anybody?
Serbia. Russia.
Russia's good. Serbia. There could be multiple countries that follow these rules, but the one I was thinking of is Russia. They give it in death and funeral. That's the kind of association they have with it. Where is it really bad to point your feet at anybody, especially banknotes and things like that, or stepping on banknotes, or just pointing your soles over it? In this one, ear. Yeah, UAE is actually true. The one I was thinking of is Thailand. Thailand is quite bad to do that. So you have to be cognizant of all these kind of different cultures around the world. Where is it customary to give money with two hands to anybody?
Japan.
Yeah, that's one.
Am I right?
It's right, yeah, Japan is there, and the one I was thinking of is Korea. Right, where is it really bad to pump your fist into your hand? It's quite obscene as a gesture. Any guesses? It's Malaysia. It's quite obscene to do that. Anyone Malaysians here? No test. Okay. This sign, the OK sign.
We have one more. It's
What?
at home.
It's at home, yeah. Yeah, that's right. I hope. Where is it obscene to give an okay sign? You shouldn't do it actually. Anybody know?
In France or Italy?
France, Italy? Is not what I was thinking of. Oh, no guesses. It's actually Turkey. Turkey is quite it's an obscene.
What does it mean?
I don't know what it means. It's just really offensive.
Something,
Yeah.
something dirty.
It means probably something dirty. It's quite offensive if
Yeah.
you give that. And lastly, where can't you give clocks as gifts?
China.
Who said that?
China.
And apparently this is to do with funerals as well, right? Or death, is that right? And that's why they don't give it. So anyway, the point of this slide is to say that there's different cultures out there and there's different habits that people are not aware of if they're not in that country. So this is fine here. The issue is the world is getting smaller. People are moving around a lot. Business is happening without borders, effectively, right? So then it becomes really critical to understand all these nuances of countries. Interesting fact, there's about 250 million people that have moved somewhere from where they were born. That equates to like 1 in 30. So 1 in 30 people have moved around, which is really interesting, right? It's quite a big number. But here in UAE, if I ask all of you guys, I don't think anyone's born in Dubai. Anyone born in Dubai? No, one. Okay, so there's like 97% of people here have moved around, right? And coming from different countries. So this region is completely different. Let me give some more stats on this. So this is the UAE in particular. You can see here a big contrast in gender. 72% are males and 28% females. Any single females that are looking for men find it difficult to find men? Maybe this. maybe that's the problem.
Is this the local population or in general?
General with expats. Yeah, I mean there are things like there's a big labour force here, so there's aspects. But at the end of the day, these are the facts of UAE generally. These are the major nationalities actually. So Indians and Pakistanis make up a big proportion of UAE generally. Then you've got Egyptians, Emiratis, obviously all the others like the British, South Africans, they're all like in the others bit, but these are the majority here. Filipinos as well is a strong population, right, in this country. So then, if that's what's happening here, how do you understand the cultures of all of these different countries and their nationalities, and how do you cater for UX accordingly? I'm not saying that every single one will be using your services, and we'll come on to that in a minute, but it's just nice to understand what is important for all of these guys. Age group is really interesting as well. This is the age group. About 60% of residents in the UAE are working age, 25 to 54. So again, that's a bit of a stat which is different to say someone like the UK or where there's an aging population. Right? So again, that makes a bit difference of UX. But we'll come on to all of that stuff. The whole point of that chart is actually to say, look, you can't just create a website and roll it out and copy paste it everywhere. Okay, you can't just cater for everybody and say, I'm British, so I'm going to design a British-looking website and expect everyone to use it perfectly. So again, Nielsen says, you have to acknowledge their cultural characteristics and business practices. Okay, and you might think, oh, it's all similar, right? It's all the same. It's just a website you click and everything. Slightly different, and that's what I'm going to talk to you about in this presentation. At the end of the day, UX is about user experience, right? And the main part of that, as everyone knows, is the user. So how can you design something if you don't know who your users are and what is important to them? That's what the whole point of this thing is. And the reason we did this talk specifically is understand the diverse nature of UAE and then try and create UX for that. Okay. Before I move on to the in-depth bit, any questions? Any questions everyone? No? Everyone agree? Disagree? Cool. Alright, so we'll talk about culture. What is culture? Any definition? I mean, okay, I'm not going to ask you to that one, but there's a famous researcher actually who created this definition. There's millions of definitions. Collective programming of the mind for one group to another group, right? Anyone know of this guy, Ostrich? Yeah?
Yeah.
I saw you laughing.
Yeah, we had to study him a lot at university.
Okay, good. Right. Yeah, I think Sarah had to as well. Riti, you study these guys, right? No, this guy. So that's what I'm going to talk about here. So feel free to chip in and see what you think. Anybody else? No? No? About their cultural dimensions? Okay. That's good. Is that it? So then you don't know if I'm lying or talking rubbish. Except you. Just check. Right, so he carried out a big research study about culture. But he did it in 1970, and it's been evolving over time, but he started in 1970, and he did it with IBM employees over 50 countries and 116,000 to understand nationalities and preferences and their demographics. Now, it's not without criticism. People do criticize it, and they said, okay, it's only for corporate employees, it's only for this thing, and it doesn't include that. But there's not much else that you can refer to for culture and cultural dimensions, so we use this. Right? I mean, that's the closest we've got to using some sort of index, to measure culture. So there are criticisms, but it's a good study. It's quite a thorough study. Now, what he did is, once he analysed everything, he created 5 cultural dimensions, right? And I'll just go through each one and explain what that means. And then what we can do is apply nationalities alongside each one. So I can tell you what it means when your power distance, if you're a country, if your power distance is high, what does that mean? And how do you create UX for that? That's what I'm going to talk to you about. So just bear with me for the next couple of slides. Okay, so power distance, I'll just explain that. This is basically how a society handles inequalities. Okay, so what that means is if you are a country with a high power distance, you accept the rich-poor divide. You accept the gap in authority. Right? You accept that, okay, I'm a junior, this is my senior, and I'm okay with that. Okay. Any guesses to a country that might be with a high power distance?
India.
India? Yeah.
Yeah.
Philippines, one as well. Right. So there are countries that way. The other side is people that are trying to equalize power, and they just think that I don't want to be controlled. I want everyone to be equal. And they only accept leadership if it's based on true expertise. So that's when they respect it, not just because it says so. Any countries like that? Sweden, UK, all the kind of European, Western European countries. Okay, so what does that mean from a US perspective? I'll just give you an example. So Russia actually has got a high power distance, so they accept authority, they accept inequalities generally. This is just an example. By the way, there's millions of these examples out there. You can Google it and search for Hofstede's cultural dimensions, right? And you can find loads of different examples. One of them is Russia. Like this is the Aeroflot Russian website. They know that Russians have a high power distance, right? So they accept inequalities. They like authority. They like to be controlled. So if you see here, there's a hierarchy on the website. Okay, it's not the greatest looking website in the world, but that's how they programmed it. If you look at small nuances, these logos here and symbols are quite effective. It just means they trust it. They like the authority of it. Right? So they think, okay, I trust this website. It's from, let's say the government, or whatever it may be, and they just think this is what I should be doing. Right? They're not making up their own mind. Yeah? Things like this is like a celebrity couple, so it's an authority. They like those kind of symbols of life, and they don't mind it if they're rich and poor, or celebrity or not celebrity. Yeah? So that's what a high power distance is. They're less critical and less driven to search for detailed information. They just accept things how they are. Yeah, make sense so far?
Yeah.
Cool. All right. Next index was individualism. So how much of this is about how much people focus on themselves or focus on the group as a whole, right? Are they a collective society or are they an individual society? So countries with high individualism, they just act upon their own needs, desires, make their own decisions, and they're concerned with themselves. Any countries, again, guesses?
US.
Yeah, US. Yeah, UK is very similar as well. UK, everyone wants to be their own person. They want to equalize everything. People with low, they act in the interest of the group. They make decision on what's popular out there. What is everyone else doing? I had a colleague working for me at Emirates who was Japanese, and she told me, she was telling me on the side, she said, we grew up in Japan as if to be told that we should be equal to everybody else. Right? If you look left, look right, we should just be equal, don't try and stand out. And that's just how they've been taught, and that's how they've been thinking. Okay. So, again, if you look at websites here, this is a KMB, it's like a bus company website, it's a Chinese website. And you can see all the pictures are kind of in groups. There's no like individualistic pictures. They're all like, we do this, we do that. These things work really well with countries of high low individualism. So most popular, because they'll follow that trend. What are other people doing? Testimonials, reviewed. And social media, they share like crazy because they like to share that to the whole community, collective society. Yeah. Okay, interesting so far, or?
Very interesting, actually.
Good.
I have a question. I want to know more from your own experience. Especially working on Emirates, can you imagine number of nationalities actually going to the websites. So how much of those principles did you actually apply, and how you localize all those countries and like all those destination pages, whatever, like in reality?
Yeah. Just seeing how many Emirates people are there. Yeah.
How honest can you be?
How honest can I be? I don't think they're even there yet, personally. And I don't know what you guys, the Emirates guys in the room, I won't point them out, but localization for them is copy at the moment, and pictures. Pictures, copy, language type stuff. It's not even things like changing the color, changing the structure, nothing like that. People that do it well are people like McDonald's. If you go to McDonald's, try every single country, it looks completely different. Right? And they're a global website. Emirates, I don't think they're there yet. They might get there because they are trying to improve the whole UX, but I don't think this is something they even think about. Yeah.
Is there any good example in this region of brands that are doing it well?
Well, that's a good question. Not in this region, I would say this region is bad. But if you look at some of the global they're just finding out what UX is and then cultural dimensions. But if you look at some of the global brands like McDonald's, KFC, all these kind of big brands, they're very good at localization, and they actually base structure on the country. So, yeah. Okay, next one. Masculinity. Right. This is about the motivations of a society. So there are some masculine countries. These guys are very competitive, like very driven. They're very. They care about achievement. They always want success, right? So in turn, they have high expectations of any products they use, not just website and apps, just generally. And then low is actually called feminist country. Right? So don't blow away, but anyway, these guys prefer values such as cooperation, modesty, caring for the weak, and that kind of thing. Right? And they care about quality of life rather than the hard work side of things, which is success, and just care about your career and money. Right? That's
The balls come in.
I know.
Yeah.
I'm trying to hold it back. Okay, so this Saudi is a high masculine country generally. So if you look at the McDonald's, website, it's quite interesting. So they want to show expertise in McDonald's. So this kind of stuff, your right to know, is facts and figures. So they. These kind of guys who visit here, they have critical evaluation, right? So they'll look at your website as a critically, and they think, do I trust this website? Is it for me? So that's why McDonald's has all these kind of things. You're right to know. They also have like competitions, incentives, games. In the end, visitors just want straightforward answers, no fluff. Like, what is it? Then I can, decide if I want to go ahead with the conversion, whatever. Yeah. So that's kind of high masculine. So just think about what else you could add if you're dealing with high masculine demographics. And I'll explain how to do that in a second as well.
Okay, I have a question.
Yeah.
If your audience is mostly women in Saudi, would you still apply this cultural high masculinity thing, or would you?
Yeah, it's not about males or females. It's masculinity. It's just their.
You're still applying them.
Yeah. Okay. But there is a gender differences as well, which I'll come on to later on. Yeah. Which is this is just about culture, but then I talk about gender, age, all this.
So it's all of those layered on
exactly.
Region.
Yeah. So and by the way, you can't take this as complete gospel. It's just saying this will help you, but you need to do a bit more research to understand you're using it, right? And it's not saying that this will apply to everything, but it just gives you a bit of guideline what's important to you. Yeah. Right. Next one is uncertainty avoidance. These countries or nationalities hate uncertainty. So anything with high uncertainty avoidance, they hate it. So they like to stick to what they know, right? They avoid confrontations, unorthodox behaviors. They're not willing to try new things. And whereas a low uncertainty avoidance country, they welcome change. They actually encourage it. They actually want change. They're bored of their normal way of life, and they're tolerant for new ideas, and they're very spontaneous. What does that mean in UX? So, if you look at high uncertainty avoidance, again, Russia is one of these countries that has high uncertainty. They don't like uncertainty. So when you create websites, you have to show happy faces. I know small things, but it helps. Right? It just makes people feel a bit comfortable. That okay, yeah, things are okay, things are happy. If you can, you have to reveal or forecast the results of action. So if you have a call to action, you can say, this button means that this will happen next. If you can, in a certain way. So you can't just let them explore on their own. Right? They need to know what's going to happen. You have to reduce errors, definitely, and think about error prevention rather than error curing. So how can you stop them making an error in the first place?
What kind of errors?
So any errors, like if you a password, for example, you're trying to register and sign up a password, give that prevention before, right? Don't say you've typed the wrong password or this doesn't match our 8 characters or whatever it may be. Entering credit card information. Try and help them before they get to the error stage.
Is that everywhere?
Huh?
Is that for everyone?
That should be for everybody. Yeah, it should be. But okay, I mean, those form fields are a bit different. But it could be. They'll just these guys will appreciate it more. That's all we're trying to say. They'll appreciate it and they think, okay, I'll use this website. If we don't have it, they might close down the website and you just have an exit because they don't trust it. That's what we're trying to say. So it helps with everything you do. Yeah. Okay, last one for culture. Long-term orientation. Okay, so these countries that have long-term orientation, they make decisions for life. So they think long-term. Right? They said, if I save a little bit now every month, this will happen to me in the future. Whereas low countries live in the present and they just say, I want short-term gains. Right? I don't really care about my future. Yeah? And there's vast differences actually. UK is very much like this. People say we should save and we should invest in pensions, but actually, in the end, they care about the short-term gains. So then, if you look at next.co.uk, they have things like order by 10 p.m. and you'll get something free. Quick shop to make it easy and quick, right? They'll have referral fees or 10% off codes, that kind of thing. It's just instant gratification. So there are countries that differ in that situation. Yeah. Interesting?
Yeah.
No. Right, good. Okay. I just want to plot on the graph key nationalities in this region because I want to show you the difference between them. So this is India. Again, Indian is a big nationality in this region, right? So this is the index across all of it. So if your user base is predominantly Indian, then just think about all of these kind of stuff, right? They like hierarchy. They accept inequalities. Things like they're quite masculine, right? Long term, it's average. It's not bad. Next slide, I'm just going to show you UK to show you the difference between these guys, right? That's the UK. So you can see the vast difference between it, right? Individualism.
Throw it at him?
Yeah, I was going to say, I didn't ball, I think this gentleman. This is extremely high, right? So they don't think of a collective society, they think of themselves. And what can the website do for me? So even the language on your website, things like your free entry or the menu for you, food for you, that kind of helps in that language. Right? Power distance is very low. They want everything to be equal. Everyone should be equal. You can't have different roles for anything. Next one, Philippines. This is huge. This hierarchy thing is huge. They actually want it. They actually want authority and inequality. Not want inequality, but they accept it. Egypt. This is kind of in the middle, but I was surprised by this individualism. Any Egyptians here? Is that true? Like, are you quite individualistic? Yeah? Yeah? Okay, good. So that works. Any questions on this before I move on? No? Anything to add, or did I say something bad?
No. It's fun seeing it applied to like the real world.
Yeah.
More
You could apply these to not just websites, right? You could apply to products or customer experiences, anything. But at least you can apply to UX as well. Small tweaks. Where do you work, by the way?
I work at the entertainment.
Okay, cool. Interesting. Yeah, that's right. That's interesting. Okay, cool.
I have a quick question. Sorry.
Yeah.
Where does the statistic come from?
Which one?
The slide you just showed, the statistic.
Oh, these things? They're on the Hofstede's website, actually. You can just type in a country and it tells you these indices. And it actually tells you a lot more detail about each one if you want to go in there and explore it. It's the main Hofstede.com website, I think.
I think there have been a lot of surveys was the initial
Yeah.
research, and then it's been a lot of just case studies in the different countries.
Yeah.
So it's not, like you said, it's not something that you need to stick to fully. It's
It's a
rough
guide.
generalizations.
It just helps, like, any small thing. And UX, I feel, my personal feeling, people might not agree, it's like a radio. Right? You hear static until you turn the dials, and then at one point it becomes really clear sound. That's what I think we should be doing, right? Just continuously moving the dials. Anyway, we'll talk about the other stuff now. That was culture, so we'll just move on to some of the other things that we've seen. And again, just some examples. If you ignore some of these things, it can be costly. So in the world, these are not UX related, but I'll just give you a couple of examples. Someone, a golf ball manufacturer, decided to package products for Japan and did it in balls of 4, and that's really bad as a number. It's like the number 30 in UK and US, so it didn't go down well at all. Another example, Gerber they sell baby food, and on their US packaging they have pictures of cute babies, which is amazing. But in Africa, generally they put the picture of the food inside on the label. So everyone thought this is actual babies. Euro Disney, their logo is actually purple, and in the Catholic kind of church, it's a morbid color. So when they launched in Europe, which is their main, Euro Disney, they didn't actually go down well, and they spent millions and millions on that advertising campaign, and they had to change the colors. Claro introduced the Mist stick. It's called the Mist stick. It's a curling iron in Germany, and mist is actually a word for manure, Yeah, so it's basically a shit stick. Right? So, is that right?
Yes, correct.
Yeah, that's correct. So it didn't work out too well, and because these guys just ignored it, and they thought we can apply something everywhere. It doesn't work like that. Right? That's just the point of this. Right, here we go. Hang on. Okay, gender. Let's talk about gender. Gender stereotypes. Females. I was expecting lots more boards, but okay. Generally, when people talk about stereotypes and male-female differences, they talk about all this kind of stuff, right? They say, oh yeah, women like pink, men like blue, blah blah. They're more emotional, we're more logical, etc., etc. Big created this pen by the way, says, for her. It's a pen.
And it went down really, really bad.
Yeah, it went down really bad, right? But that's not what I'm here to talk about, right? That doesn't really apply to UX. Then people started getting a bit more sophisticated, and they said, oh, there's a difference in perception and self-confidence, or spatial abilities. Okay, I'm not even here to talk about that kind of stuff for UX purposes. What I want to talk about is kind of these three things. Statistically, and don't ask me where the statistics come from because I don't remember, women are more risk averse than men. That's just the thing. They are generally more risk averse.
Insurance, that's what it is.
Insurance. Yeah. Okay, see, there you go. Self-efficacy is that the ability to do something yourself and learn and just carry on, self kind of help. And the last one is tinkering. So what happened is there's lots of studies going on. Sarah knows it. She did it for university as well. What we found is in UX, men like to tinker. Okay, so they like to get in there and just start playing around. It could be with technology. It could be with your TV. You open up a new TV. Men would never read the instruction booklet and they just start playing around and pushing those buttons, right? Because they're not. Again, remember they're more risk tolerant, right?
Yeah.
And they just try things and navigate things, and they don't care where it goes. Generally.
Show of hands.
Yeah.
Let's have a show of hands.
Right. Who reads the instruction booklet here when you open up let's say, a HomePod, Apple HomePod? Matt. But okay, so anyway, what I'm trying to say is that men like to tinker. Women, I'm not saying they don't like to tinker. They just want more information before they do it. So they want to know. They could do how-to guides, for example, or if the website explains what would happen, they like that. They like to get the full comprehensive picture before doing something. That's generally, okay, I'm being very general.
So they're smarter.
Yeah, they can be smarter. Exactly. They're smarter. So it's just the information processing style. So you've got to cater for that. Now, the reason I say that is in UX, let's say your mum's world, right? Generally, I would assume there's more skewed towards females, the customer base, than males. Then they should be thinking about these kind of things. That's all I'm trying to say. It's not. I'm not saying Sook might have an equal amount, but where you're catering for women, or the other way you're catering for men, then think about how they process information as well. That's gender. Oh, the other thing I just want to mention is you guys all produce websites, apps, all those kind of things. How do you know yours is gender neutral at the moment? But there's no way of, if you think about it, the IT industry develops tests as well. Even the testers, the QAs, all this kind of guys. It's mainly male-oriented, these teams, right? How are they creating for women? How are they making things gender neutral? It's something to think about. Like, if your development team is male and your testing team is male, then how are you sure that you're creating gender neutral experiences? Anybody have more females in their IT teams or the testers?
We do have
Really?
pretty much female-ish team for QA.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay, that's good. I must get some amazing insights right to that. Different, but yeah, I mean, most of the companies I've worked on is all.
They raise a lot of bucks though.
But yeah, just something to think about. I just want to throw it out there because you can't assume that it's all gender neutral. Okay, habitual differences. Now, these are a couple of examples that I've seen. So when we've done tests as well, we've seen some really interesting insights. We've filmed with Emiratis, for example. We've tested with Emiratis, and we find some really interesting things. The way of life for them is very chilled compared to, let's say, others, right? So when we're testing and we see options, or like, let's say, filters, or I don't know, ways of filtering down things, the Emiratis are very casual and they're happy with just scrolling, just taking it easy. And they don't mind pages and pages and pages. Whereas the Filipino or the British comes in, they're like, yeah, well, where's this thing? Why do I need to scroll hundreds and hundreds of pages? And it's just those differences that you see. And it's just the way of life, and it's just a bit different. So you've got to understand that bit as well. You know? British people are impatient, right? And there's lots of other countries that are impatient as well. So if you're catering for those audiences, try and make things quickly for them, or their key tasks that they're coming in for, make it as fast as possible. If you're trying to inspire and you don't mind the whole, browsing, then do it that way. The other thing that we've had recently is people love what we found in Dubai. Everyone, I don't know why, regardless of nationality, loves discounts and coupons.
That's because of the entertainer.
Well, trying to plug you all. Yeah. But they do love it. The weird thing is, everyone can afford it because they earn more money than they do back home, right? So their earning power is more here, generally. But yet they still want discounts and coupons more than they would see back home. And it's weird, because in the end we saw people only looking for coupons and vouchers and I'm only going to buy if it's this deal. In the end, they actually go and buy the normal amount and spend a lot of money. And we find it really strange. We've seen that everywhere actually, all our tests. All they care about is discount, coupons, where's the deal? But I'm not saying that they would only buy a deal, but they look for it. It's just a weird thing. We just noticed it and I thought I should share it with you guys.
Isn't that like a vicious circle kind of a thing? Because that's what I've noticed. With being with the loyalty program, we're also trying to do the same thing all the time, plug people into some kind of a loyalty scheme.
Yeah.
But at the end, it's like a vicious circle. The culture itself, the government, and how it's all set up. So, whereas everything is regularized, you know, how you're talking about hostels, those metrics. So it's well regularized, the government doesn't want you to know, they're always happy and stuff like that. But there are business cycles going on, things are going through recession.
Yeah.
And people feel that because of their propensity to spend.
Yeah.
And they're always looking to maximize what they have in their pocket.
Correct, yeah.
And then counterbalance that, the vicious circle starts when you say, DSF is coming up.
Yeah.
So you have this festival, that's going on, they raise the prices a little bit, decrease them. So that whole vicious cycle, you just pick it up like that.
Yeah.
So psychologically, you're always kind of programmed the moment you enter here. This programming from the moment you enter the airport that hey, Dubai duty free.
Yeah.
You always hear about Dubai duty free from everybody who travels. What's a really good deal? You must go there. It's just like programming.
I completely agree. I think that's what's mentally there. But in the end, they don't actually make the decision on that. That's what we noticed.
No.
They're like, okay, we'll just buy this.
Exactly.
You pay like, I don't know, 5 dirhams, 10 dirhams for anything like here, and it's just, for us, it's nothing. Generally, if you go back home and you think about actually how much it is, you're like, oh my god, I shouldn't have spent this much money. So it's kind of weird, different model. The other thing really interesting we saw actually is, it's for something random, filtering. Where we saw, in a variety of tests actually we saw, people love filtering in this region. And then we dug more and more deep into it. Like, why is it? Why is it Dubai people like filtering? And especially Emiratis. Emiratis like to filter. And we asked them why, and why is it a habit that you want to filter? And it could be about random stuff. It's not even about a website filtering. There's a couple of tests that I can't really explain, but I can't really share, but you would never think filtering is even an option in this type of application or product. But they still did it. In the prototype, they still did it. The reason why, what we found when we dug deeper, is they said, look, we're in a diverse country here in UAE. There are so many things. Let's say you look at TV or you look at Zomato. The country is trying to cater for everybody, and there's 200 nationalities, right? So let's say you've got TV. How many channels are there, right? I would say probably about 2% of them you actually want as your little list, because most of them are, let's say, Arabic if you're not Arabic, or if you're Indian, you just want the Indian channels, as an example. So everyone is drawn to filtering to make this region personalized for them, right? Because it's so vast and everything is offered quite wide. So then the habit of filtering comes into it. It's an interesting observation that we saw. I don't know what you guys think. Is that we just couldn't understand why. But they said that this region is, like the Emiratis said, this region is not ours anymore. Right? There's so many nationalities. I need to make it mine by filtering something that is only specific to me in Arabic, the say culture. Really interesting. And just these kind of little things that come into it as well. Yeah. The Chinese thing, by the way. So Chinese, I don't know if you know, but Chinese letters, and Sean, you can tell me if it's right. It's really hard to type, generally.
I actually don't know how to type
Right. You can throw a ball at me for assuming they didn't. But yeah, okay. So it's supposed to be hard to write, and it's hard to define certain words as well. So generally, the Chinese don't like to search. They don't like using search. They like navigation and browsing. And again, it's just a habit. It's how they grew up in their language, right? So then, if you're catering for Chinese people as your audience, then think about the actual structure of the website, the IA, rather than the search functionality, because most people would use that.
Maybe they use voice search.
20%.
Voice search.
20%
Yes.
of websites on average use search.
20% use search. Okay. Right.
Well, that's what
Globally.
we found out a few years ago, so I don't know how it is now.
And it might change. It might change in different countries as well.
Sorry, what was the feedback from the Emiratis about Arabic websites and do they prefer to transact on Arabic websites?
They said, so we've done quite a lot of those actually, and what we found is the Arabic, people that like using Arabic websites, they say do a full job on it. And most companies don't. So they will do, let's say they'll flip it, and they won't translate every single word or every single menu button or call to action. That is quite offensive to them. Not offensive, it's just, you either do it fully or don't, because then I'm happy to use English. Like, I can speak English generally, okay, and I can use English. So if you don't do it right, then don't bother. We had a massive example of that where the app was actually half Arabic, half English, and they coded it as a Arabic app. And they said, no, why would I use this? You're not even translating half the words. I'd rather just use the English version because it's confusing for me. So I would say do it fully or don't do it. Language is an example for Arabic, which I'll come on to in a second as well. Okay. Interesting, right? Now, the other thing to look at is technology. I know everyone talks about that, and mobile is coming up in prominence, etc., which is fine. I'll also look at the desktop mobile usage for your particular website, right? It doesn't mean for everything. Like Emirates, for example, a lot of people will search on their mobile but book on desktop. That's just the thing, isn't it? But there's various other websites that maybe do more mobile rather than desktop. So just think about that. And don't assume that every user has the latest phone models. Everyone assumes, everyone's got an iPhone 10 or X. That's wrong. They did this one study, one company, I think, in Philippines, and they found 41% of their user base use this phone. And when they were designing, they thought, okay, let's design for the Samsung Note or whatever it was and iPhone X. They're like, hello, most people use it for this. So just try and understand what technology people are using. This region is not too bad, people are having the latest phones. If you look at some of the other emerging markets, it's a completely different story. So just think about the technology side of things. Colors is an interesting one. I don't know if anyone knows about colors generally. You guys actually would.
We're yellow, so.
Yeah, so what this chart is just, I won't go into detail, but it's just saying that colors mean different things in different countries. Right? Don't assume everything's fine. Everyone thinks red is danger, let's say. In India, it's actually quite sacred. The ladies wear it in their heads, for example, the dots that they wear, it's quite sacred, right? Some means love, so it means completely different things to different people. Even anger and death has different colors. So each of these, by the way, charts is an emotion, and each of these is a different area, a region. And you can see the differences in colors. There are some that are all red, for example, but you can see the mix. So don't just assume that a color is standard across everything. Just try and understand what it means to them. Age is an interesting one as well. Again, this region, like I said, everyone's kind of working age generally, but you do have some websites that are catered for the elderly, some websites catered for kids, and some for millennials. Complete different usage of technology between all of them. Not just usage, but it's also learnability, how quickly they pick up. So with the elderly, they might take a little bit of time, let's say, compared to a millennial, right? And it's also their habits. If you take our generation, assuming, everyone's used to the Instagrams, Facebook, they're used to the scrolls, right? But some other people might not be. So design your website according to the demographic of age and what they're used to generally. People don't mind scrolling Instagram. Like, how many times have you scrolled? And if they're used to that, then don't be worried about having a long scroll in your app if you're catering for those type of people. And also interactions. This is like fat finger clicks, like the elderly, for example, you can't have like very small CTAs and things like that. So just be careful about the age that you're targeting as well.
Just on that as well, don't make assumptions as well about age. We saw some testing done where there was a guy who was kind of doing some music on his own website, but he didn't understand how to use a mouse. Never used one before. As soon as he was given a tablet, his grandkids or whatever given him a tablet, it was fine, absolutely way around it. But he was absolutely knew his way around an iPad like back of his hand, but a mouse and a keyboard, he was like, don't know how to use these, so it skipped a generation.
Oh, good, yeah, that's amazing. We okay, it's another random story, it's nothing to do with the presentation. Just UX. I used to work for Bloomberg. And Bloomberg had this old school software, and it looks like DOS, like MS-DOS. I don't know if anyone remembers MS-DOS. It looks like that, basically. And they call it trading from that. Really old school. And the reason why is their UX is all keyboard based. If you want to choose every call to action on the screen is a number. You just type in like 3 enter or 4 enter. So you want to see a stock price, it's 4 enter. You know, there's like codes. So if I want to see Lloyd's pricing, Lloyd's share price, I'll type in LLOY enter. Right? It's that kind of coding level, and they never use the mouse. And when I went in there, I was like, why don't you use the mouse? Like seriously, we can make this amazing UI, you know, beautiful and much better than this rubbish. And all the traders said to me, you know how many seconds we waste reaching for the mouse? Okay, it's a millisecond. But you add that up in a day, add that up in a month, a year, it's a lot of money wasted just reaching for the mouse. And I was like shocked by it. I was like, wow. That's when I actually fell in love with UX generally. And they don't mind the old school way. They said, look, to type a message, I don't need to underline things, I don't need to make it stand out. I just need to quickly write a message to someone and say, buy 200 shares at this price. Right? And they literally do that in a couple of keyboard clicks and send. So that kind of stuff got me interested in UX generally. Just to remind me of the mouse story. Anyway, that's a side. Okay, payment methods, again, very, very important, right? You would think people use Visa and MasterCard. UK, they don't ever have cash on delivery at all. This region does, which is really weird when I came here. Same as India. India, Uber has cash, that's Hyderabad there. And it's just a what do you call it, a habit thing. It's just people are not comfortable with paying for something without seeing something. Right, that's where it comes from. Like, you know, I want to see the product, I want to feel it. I'm used to shopping in store. I don't trust security, for example. So just think about who you're targeting and whether they're used to cash on delivery or not. Yeah. The weird thing is, lots of new payment methods are coming out, right? So you've got Apple Pay, you've got in China WeChat Pay is like, you know, Alipay. These are like all gaining traction, right? And if people are getting used to this kind of stuff, then let's start thinking about that in our UX as well. Cool, right? So, any questions so far? Just cultural differences? Yes.
Did you notice that as you got closer to the present day, that kind of the cultures sort of merged together, and people taking on different cultures because of globalization?
Correct. I was going to suggest that. I was going to say that where a lot more people are tolerant about other cultures and they pick up stuff, especially when they come to this region. You kind of get into everything else. You know, like I used to be a really good driver back in the UK, but here it's you kind of give up on some of the habits, like the indicator and things. You know, you tailgate. I would never do that in the UK. So you kind of adapt to the situation, right? Which is going to increase, and people are going to be like the same. But I think there are still differences that you can take advantage of. And, you know, just make it a little bit easier for them, and they feel safer that it's kind of like back home. It's those kind of things. Yeah. But you're right, you're completely right. It does, especially in this region, people are getting a bit more tolerant. Yeah, good point. Okay, what I do, right? So these are just strategies what you can do when you're planning UX, right? One, hire a diverse team. You'll be surprised that some people just hire the same type of person, and it's actually a human psychological need. So you always hang out with the similar type of people, right? I read a really good book that says you marry the similar type of person. So, you know, so it's just habitual that you start hiring a team that is kind of similar to you and the team. It's just a thing that humans do generally. So make sure you've got a diverse team with different cultures, different nationalities, and different viewpoints. And again, work with cross-cultural UX experts in the region. I'm able to recommend a few agencies that can help. But in terms of strategy, what I say, and again, this is generally for UX anyway, but what I like to explain is analyze your customers. A lot of people don't do this. And when I say analyze, I don't mean building personas and things like that. I think more actual facts, like what's their nationalities, what's their age, what's their genders, right? What countries are they generally from? What's the tenure in Dubai? going back to your point, if people are here 10 years, 15 years, then it's a different thing. People who just come 6 months into it, they've still got their old nationality habits. And so analyze exactly who your users are, and again, research their cultural preferences. So the Hofstede dimensions, or their age, gender, all the differences I spoke about. Design, make sure it's inclusive, and make sure you design for that nationality, or the demographics. And we always say test and optimize, because you won't get it right the first time, but you'll build up data as you test. I just want to quickly go through this. There's not that much time left, but I'll just quickly go through some of these things. So analyze your users. There's just a sample data, by the way. But you can get this kind of information now. Google kind of guesses it for you sometimes, but if you've got teams that do business insights, you can get this type of information. I don't know if anyone's ever done that, like just who your nationality is, generally, right? If you look at this, the first 4 nationalities make up 90% of the whole customer base. And that's huge. So if you're catering for these, you can actually tweak your UX by using, let's say, the power distances, the individualism, or the age differences, or the gender differences. So just spend a little bit of time trying to understand who your actual customers are. Like I said, Mumsor is a completely different world, right? Adil is like an Indian grocery market, and it's also just basically Indian women that use that service. It's those kind of things that you should analyze to understand it. And then research their behaviors. Okay, just another example here, Dutch. Any Dutch people in the room? Oh yeah. No. Now, the Netherlands guys, if you dig into the dimensions, they're very motivated by money, but also losing money. So they've got fear by losing money as well, generally. But they don't want to lose money. Nobody does, right? No, but they're very. So I'll give you an example. This is a passport. Enter your passport name, and it gives you a massive message. Say, please make sure it's accurate and it's exactly as your passport for a booking travel website. And everyone still got it wrong, even with this big message. They just had blindness to it, and they just filled in a random thing. But then if you did this, which is you'll be charged 50 euros if you get it wrong, right? That's when everyone started filling in Netherlands. So it's that kind of thing, understanding what motivates them and what doesn't motivate. Then you can really, create a good UX for it. Because this person who did this project, they just couldn't. This wasn't there before, and everyone still got it wrong. Then they put this in, and everyone still got it wrong. They didn't see any improvement.
But isn't something like this very generic? I mean, it would work anywhere, right?
Well, it depends who's. Dutch people are thrifty, right? They generally a lot more than others, let's say. So then they would care about these kind of things and look very detailed about costings, as an example. But yeah, generally you can't put these fines. But do you need the fines, right? So fines are off-putting, generally for a user experience. But do you need them? If people are not that thrifty, you don't really need them. But let's say for Dutch people, you might need them. That's what I was kind of saying. No? Okay, quickly design. So design accordingly, and there's lots of things you can apply demographics to. Right? And this is just some of them. And I'll just quickly take you through a couple more slides, and then I think then we're done. Information processing. And so you land on a website. There's 2 different ways of thinking. Holistically, so where people scan a page before making a decision. Okay, and then you've got analytical, so they focus on individual elements and they require more structure and they go into it. If you look at Japan, Uniqlo website, Japan, this is, by the way, a minimalistic Japanese design. And seriously, there's like crazy ones out there, and this is very clean and structured. Here, generally the Eastern countries like Japan, China, they like to scan the whole page and decide where they want to go before making that decision. Right? It's just it's the way they process information. So just be cognizant of that fact. Navigation, very interesting as well. These are how people read. Like Japan reads top down, right, top to bottom. Arabic, we've got differences in left and right as well. Starbucks, this is top navigation, which you think is standard across everything. With drop downs here. If you switch to the Japanese website, this actually goes to the left. The whole navigation it comes this way. They're just used to that. Right? So that's, again, it's quite important if you're designing for Eastern countries. This is interesting. Anyone know where they say buy one, take one instead of buy one, get one? Some people might know. It's actually Philippines. They don't use buy one, get one free, which is what normal people. Not normal. Wow. I mean normally. In Philippines they say buy one, take one. It just makes sense in their language. That's what we should be saying. Not buy one, get one. Anyway, moving on. Right, when you do UI and component libraries and things like that, just think about the region and the nationality you're going with. Chinese people, they don't actually use the hamburger menus or the settings icons. They use the compass. The compass is discover. And they feel like the app is an ecosystem that they need to be guided towards. So everyone, if you look at any Chinese website, Chinese app, they have a compass. Whereas in the Western apps, let's say, they use hamburger menus or 3 dots, for more, for example. It's just a cultural thing. So when I say design UI patterns, design it accordingly to your demographic and what they recognize very quickly. Symbols.
What does that compass mean?
It's like a more icon. It's like
Is that right next to it as well?
this one? Yeah, I don't know what that is. I can't read that. But generally, there's quite a lot of apps that have this. And even if you look at Facebook, this is Facebook, I think. Yeah, this is Facebook. So a lot of global companies will change it slightly based on these patterns. Oh, form inputs. Again, you think this is standardized across the world? It's completely not at all. So especially in UAE, addresses and landmarks, for example. UAE uses landmarks. Actually, they say, oh, it's opposite the marina or behind JLT station, right? Same as India. UK would never do that. UK is pure street addresses and zip codes. How many times have you been on a website where they ask you for the postcode or the zip code here? And you just like, okay, I don't know what to type in, and it actually doesn't let you go through. It's just they never research the market when they're doing it here. Names as well, very interesting. Like South Indians generally don't use their last name. They don't actually, or some people don't even have a last name. I think Chinese use family names before the given name. So there's differences in actual naming convention. So,
Chinese use their American name. Jack.
American name, right? Okay, right. Which might not match their passport. Right? So just think about naming conventions and what people use. Number, date, and time formats we know, like US and UK, very different metric system. Those kind of things. Symbols and colors I explained from the color chart symbols, and also the flow of information as well, like what they're used to and what they're not. So just be careful about all this stuff as well. The inputs in a field it makes a big difference. And generally, like if you've got fields, this is the conversion time. They're filling in something, either contact us or they're filling in credit card. So this is critical to get right because people could just drop off, and it's actually at that point the customer is intent on buying. So it's a big loss generally on the form. And the last one is test and refine. So I would say test out, do usability testing, put the lab here, so you can come here and test with us. To analyze data, identify pain points, what's important to them. We do moderated testing, so we can actually ask them the questions that why did you do this? Why is it important to you to do this? And that's when we've learned a lot of insight actually from different cultures. And we've got a lot more examples of really cool stuff that we found. And then don't just stop there, like keep refining, keep tweaking, analyze the data, and just see what you can do to improve the experience. And I think this is the last slide. So just a quick summary. Just remember UAE is extremely, extremely diverse, right? You've got to cater for everyone. You guys know from driving on the road, how many driving habits there are on the road, right? Some people are crazy, some people are not, some people are safe. And just navigating through that is a mess. So just remember that could be with UX as well. Understand the demographics of your customers, right? And in detail. Understand who they are, their nationality, where they're from, their tenure in Dubai, their age, gender, everything. And then, I would say research what's important. And you could do it in face-to-face research, you could just do background checks, you could use cultural dimensions, whatever it may be, and then align your UX and design to match those specific demographics. I'm not saying build your website so it's inclusive to everybody, that's going to be very difficult, but think about your customers. Who are your majority customers? And try and do small things that make the UX even better for that person. Because then you're really getting into cross-cultural UX. That's it. Any questions? I didn't get that many balls thrown at me, so not too bad. Any questions before we move on?
How would you cater
Normal people go to the
I'm never going to leave that down. By the way, while everyone's asking questions, this is a QR code for our feedback form. So if you get a chance at any point, just feel free, please. It's our first event, and we're trying to do more and more of these with different speakers, client speakers, agency speakers, so it will help us learn as well. But we'll talk about questions.
So I was just going to ask, you talked about, obviously there's lots of different cultures and lots of, kind of different types of people. Are there any situations where there's kind of a clash, where kind of you have to do this to cater for this group, but that either offends or upsets or doesn't work with this group? And do you ever see situations like that?
I haven't seen any situations. I'm trying to think.
How do you mitigate against that, I guess?
Yeah, I don't think I've seen situations like that. I'm just trying to think. Mitigation, like, this is where personalization will come into it, like later on. I'm always logged in, let's say, to Souk. Right? Every time I go on the website, I'm always just logged in. Let's say, even Amazon, places like that. They know who I am, right? And they can guess what I'm like, based on my browsing history, my shopping history, everything. So they can tailor the experience towards me. This region is not good at personalization generally, right? They just blast every email marketing campaign to me, so it doesn't really work. But personalization is where it really helps in, because then you can actually have two different experiences, right? Two different designs for people. If these guys are male, female, whatever it may be, you can tweak things slightly. But it is going to be definitely hard. Colors is a big one. Colors always have an effect, because you can't really, if you've got brand guidelines, you can't really change colors everywhere, based on the country and things. So that's always going to have a clash of things. But I think you need to understand the magnitude of that. What is that clash worth? What is the problem? And is it a big problem? Or are people like, okay, that means it's a bit morbid, but I'm okay. So I think it's a hard question to answer. But I haven't seen one personally. But I expect it to happen. But it's just, how do you qualify that magnitude level?
Isn't it a case of, so if we understand it as a clash, but let's not take it as a clash. Let's take it as an interest. And what apps usually tend to do is, and what how the flows change is that you ask questions upfront. Yeah. You say, okay, you don't make them targeted questions. You say, hey, what interests you? Like music, Some music people don't like, some people like. So you say, hey, what are your interests? What age range are you in? And then you customize it based on that. So you preempt that kind of thing, and then that kind of avoids, the direction that user is going to take through your app. It might be that we might recommend something silly to them, to say, don't like that. So you give them a thumbs down button and that's it, job done. I think it's more about actually preempting that rather than creating it.
Exactly.
So nobody actually wants to create a situation where that's going to happen. I think that's more along the way the apps are designed.
Exactly.
We don't want to get to that.
But I think that will get more sophisticated as well later on. Like if you look at Google Analytics now, right? They're tracking cross-device as well, and that's all based on Google Chrome sign-ins, let's say. And most people have sign-in everywhere if they're using Google products on their phone as well as that. So they can build up a good picture. And I think data will become much more sophisticated and available for people. I don't think it's there yet, but it will. And then you can probably preempt a lot of the things. You might get it wrong a couple of times, right? You might say, hey, Sudipt, do you want a new dress? Right, okay, fine. But how big of a problem is that at that time? So you might get a few things wrong, but I think it will get more sophisticated over time. That's my personal feeling. And even the preempting, is how you do it as well. Most people don't like filling in these things. I'll give you another example. We were in my bank, Lloyd's banking group. We had a form to say it's for a personal loan. Why do you want this loan? And a lot of people said, we found a lot of results were something random. I can't remember what it was. For pets or something. It's just really weird. And then I was like, no, there can't be this many people wanting a loan for this reason. And when we looked at the form, it's because it's the first box. So even when you ask these kind of questions, you have to be a bit smart about how you ask it to get the right level.
And also, now that I think about it, many of these situations are actually very, very personal, and you don't really want to get there. So let's take the example of a calendar app. So what you do is you say, okay, my anniversary is on this day. Okay, you put that there and you say, we don't want to miss that. It just might happen that you have a really terrible thing on that day. Maybe you're going for a divorce that same day. The calendar pops up, hey, it's your anniversary, do you want to do this? Oh, it's your divorce, so remember 15 minutes. But that's a very, very personal thing. You don't want to delve into it, use this data.
No, exactly.
And do machine learning on that kind of thing. So there's a very fine line as well.
Yeah, I agree.
So that's a situation where a conflict might happen, but that's very, very personal to people.
It's very personal, but you can't avoid that even in certain life situations. Like you say hi to someone and he's having a bad day, or his wife divorced him.
Or you might have an accident nearby. There's a hotspot. Hey, there's a great beat going on.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, they have to be smart. I think. There is a fine line between privacy and
So your push notification beacon doesn't know that you just have an accident. That's
Yeah.
what's called the notification.
No, I agree. It's a fine line. It's just balancing that, right? Sorry.
Hi. So the question I had was, in the beginning you mentioned that Emirates is not there yet.
I could be wrong, by the way. I don't know.
No,
I'm just assuming.
okay.
Right?
McDonald's.
I left, so.
So it's not your fault.
Yeah.
How difficult is it? I'm a client, right? So for me to build one website, I have one set of HTML templates, and then I'm building it on a CMS. Then go and say, right, I now need to build a brand new HTML template for that country. Is that what you are saying is a realistic way to look at it, or do you think no, this is not what I'm talking about?
Okay, number one, that's okay. So there's things between internationalization and localization. Two different things. Internationalization is where you take the product and you roll it out, right? And that's, in that case, you might have different templates for different countries. Localization is where you take that, but you're saying, how do I need to tweak this for this market? Okay, and that's kind of what this talk is. Some of the examples are where you go to different countries and you try and roll out generally. But I wouldn't say it's a whole new set of templates. Right? You can tweak certain things. It doesn't have to be whole. Mcdonough goes a bit crazy. They actually changed the whole thing, the layouts, and they've got crazy templates for each country. Huh? They have money for it. Yeah. I'm not saying you have to do that, but just be cognizant of if you are rolling out to different countries, what can you change? What should you change to make the experience a little bit better? I'm not saying do the whole thing again. You still need to keep the brand guidelines, make it consistent. But you can change small things too. Like your form inputs, for example. That's an easy change. They won't even notice it, but it's a better experience for them. Things like that.
I just want to ask, when it comes to the research, is it just product focused or touch point focused? Or do you also look into the services post interaction on the product in itself? Because the research and apply onto the services.
So do it after sales, you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, we actually, I'll have to say we just look at the first bit. We haven't gone to that level yet.
But then, don't you think it just affects the overall experience?
Yeah, I agree. UX and CX, two different things. Right? CX is the whole overall experience, right? It's end to end. It's from all different touch points. In Emirates, checking in, baggage, all that is all part of CX. But the UX is the website and the app and the booking. And okay, that's where my remit ended. What happens on the on board and things is somebody else's remit. So I agree that whole customer experience and brand should be about everything. And that's why actually CX is becoming more important here. Everyone's really talking about CX. And that's the whole ecosystem. So we should definitely be looking at that. But in UX strategy, people just focus on website and app generally. But we should be looking at all touch points.
Could I just touch on the last point?
Rizal, I thought you said you're not going to ask me any questions today.
I'm not asking, I'm just adding to things.
No, I'm joking.
So about the form question, I don't know what it was. The thing is, the end user doesn't really care if it's a form or a template, whatever you change it. They just want to see that result.
Yeah.
So it's like if you have a shopping store, you think, okay, everybody comes in to buy a beer, you just push that page to the front, people buy beer. Or if you know that they're compulsive buy, you put those things next to the POS system. It's just like that. They don't really care how much effort it took you to push that fridge to where it is today. Yeah, they just want to know, okay, you know what, I want beer, there it is. So whether you have to do a template, you have to do a different website, you have to run like 15 different campaign pages for 15 different regions, it doesn't really matter. You have to do what you have to do.
You have to do what the user wants, right? And
because after all, we're not just doing it all for fun. We're translating this into hard cash revenue figures. We're looking at this investment in time. What's our ROI on this effort? And that's why we're localizing. That's why we're personalizing.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I completely agree. With things like even how many times have you gone somewhere or you thought about going somewhere and you think parking is a nightmare, I just can't be bothered, the store's quite far from this car park. You're making a decision based on what you think the experience is going to be like. Because you've done it before. Same thing, if you get it wrong, they're just not going to come back. They're going to be like, you know what, I'll use another website. It's a similar kind of thing. But yeah, so you have to get it right from the beginning. So these things might not matter, but we have to do as people creating UX to make it seamless and beautiful for them, so they don't realize anything else.
I can give you an example of that buy one, take one. So in Singapore, we can't do that. We have to say buy one, get one. We can't say buy two, get one free. It's everywhere else. So what happened was we had merchants started pulling out and said, what's going on? And I never actually asked them anything. So they reached back out to us. They said we have to now serve 2 dishes and then give an extra one free.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, this is buy 2 get 1 free, so like 3 dishes.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah, so it's horrible. People aren't going to eat that much.
Yeah. See, that's a good
We have to
example.
Change the app itself and say, okay, for Singapore, Malaysia, Hong Kong markets, it's buy 1 take 1,
Yeah.
or get 1.
Yeah.
So that was an effort for us because we had just one ecosystem. So we had to actually provision the app for different localizations.
Which is perfect. That's a good example, right? Of where you can get it wrong. So.
Yeah, so it's very easy, just hard code it in. I think that comes with that. Yeah,
Keep an eye on it. Cool. Anything else? That's it?
Yeah.
Good. Thank you for your contribution and thanks for everything.